In June '68, we had gone to a high school engagement in a Christian school. It was a school for girls, and there were many nuns in the school. And this program was arranged by a French-Canadian devotee called Janardhan Prabhu. He was doing his PhD at that time. So Prabhupada gave the lecture, and as usual after Prabhupada's lecture, he would say, "Any questions?" The same Mr. Mukherjee, who had told me that Prabhupada was a different type of saint, got up from his chair and started attacking Prabhupada. He started saying, "Why do you have to come and preach this philosophy in these Christian countries? They have their own philosophy. You don't need to do this." Devotees were very upset in the way he was being attacked. Prabhupada was not being criticized by the Christian nuns. He was being criticized by one of the people who came in his entourage. So devotees were very upset, and Prabhupada was very cool. In August, Prabhupada was leaving Montreal to go to America. And he told me, "Gopal, go and call that Mr. Mukherjee." I said, "Prabhupada, he insulted you so badly. Why do you want to see him?" And Prabhupada said, "I must have done something to him in my last life for which he took revenge." So I called this gentleman, and Prabhupada blessed him before leaving. So from this we can see how magnanimous and merciful Prabhupada was. And even though this man had humiliated Prabhupada, he really attacked Prabhupada very badly. Prabhupada tolerated it, did not utter one word, and in fact he blessed him before leaving. So I think from this example we should draw inspiration and not retaliate the moment somebody criticizes us. We have to learn to practice Adaptability Sunicena.
So here you have this crowd gathered to hear Srila Prabhupada, and you can just imagine their reaction when at one point in his lecture, Srila Prabhupada makes the following statement. He says that Dharma, or religion, means the codes given by God. And he says, just like the state, I'm quoting Prabhupada now from his lecture, just like the state, if we abide by the laws of the state, then we are good citizens. We are peaceful citizens. We are responsible citizens. The place erupts in yelling and protest. And Srila Prabhupada asks Jyotirmayi, who was translating, saying, "What are they saying? What is that?" So she says, "They don't like what you're saying because they don't like the government. They don't like the laws of the state." So Srila Prabhupada turns to the audience and he says, "You may not like it, but if you do not follow the laws, you will be punished." So just imagine, the scene that's going on here. We had made the mistake. The French devotees and those of us who were in France, we had made the mistake of bringing his Vyasasan, this big gorgeous silk and satin and gold leaf Vyasasan onto the stage in Sao Pleyel. And here's Srila Prabhupada sitting on the stage, and the students start yelling, "Par terre, par terre, sit on the floor, sit on the floor." And one young man jumps up on the stage and he yells at Srila Prabhupada. He says, "One thing we would never do, we would never sit on a throne and require that other people bow down before us." Well, big applause. And Srila Prabhupada, everything goes quiet. And Srila Prabhupada's looking at the young man, he's thinking. And he says, if you want to hear me, I can get down from this throne. But you wouldn't understand what I'm telling you any better. And if you know God, you could sit here and teach others. It was enough to shut him up, this young man. I don't think it was enough to convince the crowd, because they just continued on insisting, par terre, par terre. And at that point, Srila Prabhupada said, okay, let's stop and have kirtan. Because it was clear that they just were not open to what he had to say. Afterwards, he made the surprising comment to us that the next time I come to Paris, if I do a program like this, just bring a simple wooden chair. They don't appreciate the respect that you offer to your spiritual master and the elaborate Vyasasan. It's not helpful. So next time I come, we'll make it simple. And so he understood. He was sensitive to that. There was no insisting on the formalities and the rituals. Whatever was important, whatever needed to be done for reaching people where they are, he was in favor of that.
That same time, I believe it was his Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's disappearance day, and he was describing at how he had been going on and on for many, many years. His spiritual master had told him to spread Krishna consciousness in the Western world. In a sense, it was only a few words that had been given. Just, you should go and spread Krishna consciousness in the Western world in the English language. And many, many years had passed. And Srila Prabhupada had, of course, been making plans to raise money through pharmaceuticals, etc., to do this, and then his pharmacy burned down. But at some point, he said he began to see his spiritual master in dreams, and his spiritual master was saying, this time to go. And he was thinking, he said, he was looking around, there was probably about 10 or 15 of us in the room at the time. He was looking around the room, and he said, I was thinking how I can leave my children, and like that, you know, I have my 4 children, how I can leave them and do this. And then he looked out, and it seemed as though tears like shot from his eyes. And he looked around us, his eyes were shining, and he said, but now, he said, I have got so many children. And from the way he said it, it gave almost the impression that the whole world had gathered inside that tiny little room in Seattle. And that we could envision, somehow there was never any question but that there would be a huge world movement. And yet, at that time, I think there were probably less than 70 devotees in the entire movement.
I was in Mayapur, and one day this gentleman, this old Vaishnava, I don't know that he must have been a Gaudiya Vaishnava. Anyway, he came to the Pujari room. He was looking for someone to talk to, and he was holding this Back to Godhead magazine. And he said, is anyone here who is disciple of Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj? And a few of us said, well, we are. He said, oh, I have to tell something really special. And he was very excited. He said, I have been the Pujari at Advaita Acharya's house in Shantipur. You know that beautiful house where it's like a temple there now. He said, and for many years I served there in very humble capacity of doing the artiks and taking a little bit care of guests. And he said that many, many, many years ago, when I was young, I used to notice that there was this one Grihasta gentleman that would come, and he would sit in the back of the hall, and in a very sober and quiet way, he had his japa beads, and he would chant japa, and I would notice that he would weep, that he would be weeping, very much weeping. He says, so because of that, I didn't want to disturb him, but I would notice him, and whenever he would come, I would be so happy to see him. My heart would fill with joy. He said, and I would always try and give him some Mahaprasadam or some little thing, but I never asked who he was or anything like that. He said he always moved with great determination. And he was came in a very determined way, and he left in a very determined way. Sometimes he would stay almost all afternoon and just chant. And he said, and then after some time, I noticed that he didn't come anymore. He said, I looked for him, but he didn't come. And then he said, after a few years, one day I was doing my seva, and I noticed that there was someone sitting in the exact place where he used to sit in the back, who was chanting like him, but he was wearing saffron robes. And he said, I looked quite closely and I recognized that it was my old friend, the man that I had always watched. And he was chanting in that same way, but even more deeply, and weeping, so much bitterly weeping. He said he was weeping so much that he himself was weeping. And finally, he gathered together some Mahaprasadam, and he waited until that sannyasi was finished, and when he was ready to leave, he came up to him and he said, here, you remember me? I brought you some Mahaprasadam, and I'm so glad to see you. I didn't recognize you at first. What is your name? Who are you? He goes, I've been watching you for so many years. Who are you? And then that man said, my name is Abhay Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. And I am a humble and very fallen disciple of my most glorious Gurudev, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Thakur Prabhupada. He said, and the reason that I've been coming here for so many years is because this is the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Prabhu used to gather to plan the whole worldwide movement of this Sankirtan mission. They would come here together. This is such a holy place. He goes, so I have been coming here and I've been praying at the dust of this place and at the dust of their feet for their mercy. He said, because many years ago, my Gurudev gave me an impossible mission. He ordered me to go across the ocean and somehow plant this Krishna consciousness, this pure Vaishnava Krishna consciousness on that foreign soil. He goes, I am not knowing how to go, and I am coming here and I am praying for them to give me guidance and inspiration. He said, and I am feeling great mercy. He said, but tomorrow I am actually leaving. I am leaving Bharatvarsha. I am going on a ship. I don't know even which direction it's traveling. I'm going. I have no place to turn. I don't know what will happen except that my Gurudev has given me this order, and the personalities of this place have given me their mercy. He said, would you also bestow upon me your mercy? And so that devotee said, he said, oh, of course you have any mercy that I have to give. He said, I pray that you will be successful. And then Prabhupada said, may we meet again. And then Prabhupada took whatever little bag he had and he walked away. And so we know from history that that was when Prabhupada had come to leave, and he had come and made one visit to Mayapur and had come there also. And then the next day he left on the ship.